William Makepeace Thackeray was born at Calcutta in 1811. Thackeray would end up using many events that occurred in his life to lay out and write Vanity Fair, such as his attendance at a school run by Dr. Turner, seeing Napoleon on St. Helena while traveling as a child back to England, and even using his own daughter as inspiration for the character Amelia. In 1834, Thackeray went to Paris and took up the study of art. In 1837, Thackeray went to London and became a regular contributor to Fraser's magazine. While being on the staff of the Punch, he wrote Vanity Fair. This novel placed him in the first rank of novelists. He completed it when he was 37 years old. Vanity Fair takes place in the Napoleonic era. The story focuses on two main characters, Amelia Sedley, who comes from wealth, and Rebecca Sharp, an orphan, after her father and mother both died. Both attend Miss Pinkerton Academy to try to figure out how to navigate their way through the world of social climbing and the search for wealth. While Amelia couldn't care for the values of Vanity Fair, Rebecca lives for it. Farther into the book, the story splits into two different perspectives, one to be Rebecca's and the other of Amelia's. Rebecca attempts to get Amelia's brother, Joseph Sedley, to marry her, but when George Osborne, Amelia's husband-to-be, protests, it falls through. Rebecca then takes a position as a governess to Queen Crowley and later marries her nephew, Rowden Crowley. The Crowden family believes Rebecca's only intention is to socially climb by marrying Rowden, so they are both disinherited and begin to live without sufficient funding. Rebecca then makes it her mission to get pregnant so that they will once again be accepted back into the family. Amelia Sedley is set to marry George Osborne, even though his father protests since her family lost their fortune. They marry in secret before he sets off to battle at Waterloo, where George loses his life and Amelia is devastated having been pregnant with his child. George's father wants nothing to do with it and leaves Amelia pregnant, alone, and broke. Fast forward a few years, Rebecca and Rowden are struggling for money, but she insists on living the Vanity Fair lifestyle. She meets a man named Lord Stein who gives her money and diamonds and tries to convince her to be unfaithful to her husband. When Rowden finds out, he takes his son to live with his brother and wife, then sets off for Coventry Island, where he ends up dying of yellow fever. During this time also, Amelia realizes she can no longer be selfish and keep her son around, due to the fact that her parents are starving and she can barely provide for him anymore. He goes off to live with his grandfather, George Osborne's father. Rebecca, having lost the respect of those around her, wanders through Europe and runs into George, Amelia, and Joseph in Germany, years later. Amelia and Rebecca resolve all the bad blood and their issues with one another, and Rebecca even confides in Amelia, telling her about her husband's infidelities and that she had deserved better. Rebecca runs off to India with Joseph, Amelia's brother, but does not marry him, instead taking all his money, and he dies in terror, believing she was the reason of his death. Rebecca finally has money to be able to live in Vanity Fair. Amelia and William marry after all the years of keeping him at arm's length, and he takes care of her and their son and sets them up for the rest of their lives. Little Rowden becomes the heir of Queen Crowley's fortune after his uncle Pitt and cousin Pitt die. Little Georgie, through the kindness of those around him, lost his distorted values obtained in Vanity Fair, and in the end it is believed that these children are better off and would better be people than those before them. There are a few differences between the book and the movie, besides the fact that at the end of the book, Rebecca sees her son again. Classic expresses artistic quality, stands the test of time, has a certain universal appeal, and makes connections. Vanity Fair is a classic because it resembles the fact that no matter how many years go by, people will always believe that there is a social hierarchy that needs to be climbed.